Welcome back to Pokémon Episode Summaries. Today, I'll be doing episode 427, May's Excellent Adventure. The episode begins with Ash and the gang walking through the countryside, going past the Pokemon Center that they were at last episode, with Ash admiring his new gut symbol that he won after beating Greta at the battle arena. And he also took the opportunity to admire the knowledge symbol. Ash and the gang were currently making their way to the Battle Dome, which was Ash's next Battle Frontier destination, and it was located south of Lavender Town. They were making good progress towards it, but then May noticed something and ran off down a small hill. And she admires what she saw, which was what she believed was a cute-looking building, being a farm. May was so enamored by this farm, however, that she didn't notice two Pokemon come up behind her, two Voltorb. Max sees the Voltorb and tries to warn May, and Brock and Ash do following this, but it was too late, as the two Voltorb used a Thunderbolt on her, making May fall to the ground. And she tries to recover as Ash, Brock, and Max come down to her, and Ash asks her if she was okay, which May half-heartedly confirms, because she was in a pretty good amount of pain after the shock. Brock wondered why Voltorb attacked her, but he had his question answered when a young girl showed up with a pitchfork in hand. And the girl immediately accuses Ash and the gang of being trespassers and explains that the Voltorb had been trained to attack trespassers and protect the property, which was hers and her parents', saying that the property was private. May was intimidated by the girl's yelling and nervously apologized, admitting that she didn't realize the property was private. But just then, the girl got excited as she happened to recognize May from somewhere and ran towards her, and reveals that she recognized her from a contest that she watched on TV, specifically the Saffron City contest, which she saw May win with her Squirtle. As the girl blushes and stares at May in wonder and admiration, an older man and woman, who were actually the girl's parents, call out to their daughter, saying it was time for her to take a break, implying that she was supposed to be doing something out by the farm field, but now it was time for a break. Her parents also reveal her name when they address her as Nicolette. Also, they see Nicolette with Ash and the gang, and when Nicolette explains the whole situation, Nicolette's parents decide to let Ash and the gang inside for some tea, as well as coffee and biscuits, and let Nicolette have some tea as well for her break. And they also introduce themselves as Christopher and Jeannie, respectively. Ash and the gang then get asked why they were traveling. So Ash reveals that he was taking the Battle Frontier Challenge, and with that reveal, Christopher asks Ash if he was currently heading to Lavender Town, because he assumed that Ash must have just beat Greta, since her place was nearby, and Ash confirmed this. May also added that she was traveling to be a top coordinator, participating in contests throughout Kanto to participate in the Kanto Grand Festival. Hearing this, Nicolette's mother revealed that Nicolette also wanted to be a coordinator and enter contests, so May questioned why she hadn't done so yet, and went out on the road to go to a contest, but Nicolette's father explained that she was scared to leave home because she didn't want to abandon her farm work. And we then see Nicolette doing some farm work, brushing the ground with a broom or some fucking shit, I don't know, but she seemed to be enjoying it at least. Max then asked what kind of farm the family even ran anyways, because he didn't see any Pokemon on the farm, and Christopher revealed that they ran a Pokemon egg farm that was responsible for raising and taking care of Pokemon eggs until they hatched. May and Max were surprised to hear of a Pokemon egg farm, as they'd never seen or heard of one before that had dealt with many different types of eggs, because the only egg farm that they'd seen before was Old Man Mudkip's, which only dealt with Mudkip eggs. Ash indicated that he was interested in seeing what type of eggs the family raised, and May and Max did as well. So Nicolette's dad, Christopher, offered to give Ash and the gang a tour to see the eggs. May, Max, Ash, and Brock all happily accepted and thanked Christopher for the offer. Christopher then clarified, though, that before he could show off any of the eggs, he had to get them ready first, so suggested that Ash and the gang maybe spend some time outside while they wait, and Max obliged, as he asked May to send out her Munchlax, and she did, and he started to very intently brush Munchlax while sitting behind it, telling it that he was going to make it look its absolute best in case it ever participated in any future Pokemon contests. Nicolette, who was carrying a bucket of grass out to go spread on the ground that she had just wiped, presumably trying to make that ground more fertile or something, spotted Max and Munchlax. Seeing them, Nicolette got the idea to have a test battle for when she went out for her first contest, because she was actually considering leaving the farm. She happened to say her thoughts aloud, so she was startled when Max responded to her thoughts, saying that he couldn't battle her since this Munchlax was actually May's, not his. Nicolette didn't care, and argued with Max that she wanted to battle anyways, because she wanted to train for her upcoming contest, but then she got mad at herself for the fact that she let it slip that she wanted to enter a Pokemon contest, because she didn't like to tell people this, because she wanted everyone to think that the only thing that she liked doing was her family's farm work, because she didn't want to let her family down. Like, she didn't like doing her farm work, but she wanted people to think that that was like basically her entire goddamn life. But what she didn't know, of course, was that Max already knew that she was interested in doing contests anyways. She decided to just bite the bullet now that she'd already admitted that she was wanting to participate in contests, and begged Max to battle her anyway, because otherwise she would never be able to participate in a contest if she couldn't get training in. Just then, May walked over to her, greeting her, and told her that she was happy to hear that she wanted to be a coordinator too. Nicolette was pissed off that May knew that she wanted to participate in contests as well, and as she told May that whether or not she wanted to participate in contests wasn't actually May's business whatsoever, Nicolette wondered how May could have even found out that she wanted to participate in contests until she realized that it was probably her parents that told her. May was understandably a little confused at Nicolette's behavior, wondering why she was so against being referred to as someone who wanted to participate in contests, and she was even more confused when Nicolette suddenly changed her tune and realized that it didn't really matter if May knew she was interested in contests or not, and realized that they should probably train, and May agreed. So Nicolette thought that she and May should have a battle right there, right now, as training. May was down for a battle, as she herself had used some training for contests as well, but before May could actually pick what Pokemon she wanted to use, Nicolette pointed at Munchlax, who Max was still brushing, and ordered May to use it, which made May worried since Munchlax didn't have a lot of battle experience, but Nicolette didn't care, as she sent out her Vileplume to battle it. May asked Nicolette to wait a second because she wasn't ready, but Nicolette just ignored her and told her Vileplume to use a petal dance. So the battle started, even though May wasn't prepared, and Vileplume's petal dance fired off a barrage of petals, which smashed into Munchlax, taking it by surprise, and confused it due to the standard effects of the attack. Despite being confused, Munchlax started to twirl its fingers, indicating that it was using Metronome, much to May's dismay, because she knew how unreliable Metronome was, and Max knew that Metronome was unreliable as well. Wondering what attack Munchlax would use while it was confused, and Munchlax proceeded to use none other than a splash, when a flash of light emitted from Munchlax's fingers. Max and May were obviously annoyed by the terrible attack, but Nicolette was happy with this, seeing the chance to attack herself, since Munchlax was too busy using Splash, the most useless attack in the entire franchise, and she told Vileplume to use a Stun Spore. And the paralyzing dust of the Stun Spore goes around Munchlax, causing it to be paralyzed. May begs Munchlax to try and break free from the paralysis, but while Munchlax was paralyzed, Nicolette ordered Vileplume to take advantage of this and fire a Bullet Seed to finish Munchlax off. Once the Bullet Seed hit, creating a dust cloud as a result, May and Max were frustrated because, despite both of their pleas, Munchlax just stayed put. It didn't even move, and May was even more frustrated and angered when Nicolette taunted May for how easily she let Munchlax be paralyzed and how she couldn't do anything about it. And Nicolette just laughed, taunting that she had won, and stated that she was surprised May got so far in her contest when she wasn't even that good. May, desperate to prove to Nicolette that she knew what she was doing, angrily yelled that she just needed to focus, and Munchlax needed to just focus as well, to snap out of the paralysis, and begged Munchlax too. May's yelling seemed to do enough for Munchlax, and this allowed it to emerge from the dust caused by the Bullet Seed and run towards Vileplume with its fist clenched and mouth open. Vileplume was very surprised by Munchlax being able to recover from the paralysis and simply just stood there in shock as Munchlax smashes its fist straight into Vileplume, sending it flying back, making Nicolette surprised as well, as she worriedly calls out to Vileplume, asking if it was okay. May was confused, wondering what the fuck Munchlax just did, leading Max to state his assumption that Munchlax must have just used Focus Punch, and May became excited at this, happy that her Pokemon just learned a new move. After the dust had settled from the strong Focus Punch, May didn't want to give Nicolette an opportunity to let her Vileplume recover, so she quickly told Munchlax to use a Solar Beam, knowing that Munchlax could use it since it had used it during a Metronome before. And sure enough, Munchlax charged up and fired Solar Beam, with May telling it to launch such a strong one that it would finish the battle. Vileplume managed to dodge the Solar Beam, even though it was coming straight at it. The Solar Beam ray was so huge that it not only kicked up some more dust, but also managed to hit the tip of Vileplume's head, which was its weak spot, so this caused Vileplume to faint, so May had officially won the battle. As for Nicolette, she was surprised, but she still called Vileplume back to its Pokeball, wanting it to take a rest. May acknowledged that the Focus Punch may have been a little too powerful, and apologized to Nicolette for maybe going a little bit too hard, but Nicolette said it didn't really matter, since Vileplume was strong, so it would be okay. When she turned away from May, though, and looked at Vileplume's Pokeball, she developed a much more worried look on her face, realizing that May really was super powerful after all, and wondered how she could ever stand up to someone like her. May and Max then congratulated May's Munchlax on its victory, admitting that it battled extremely well. Just then, Ash, Christopher, and Brock called over May and Max, saying that the eggs were ready to see. May and Max smiled in delight, and they joined Ash, Christopher, and Brock. Although Nicolette decided not to come. So Ash and gang and Christopher went into one of the egg storage houses on the farm, and May, Max, Brock, and Ash all eagerly looked around, excited at seeing all the cute Pokemon eggs, seeing hundreds of eggs lining many shelves, which really impressed Ash and gang with the fact that Christopher and his wife and his daughter were able to raise so many eggs. And Christopher just reveals that this was only one of the egg storage rooms on the farm. There were plenty more eggs as well. Also, some of the eggs technically belonged to other trainers who had just left them off at the farm until they hatched, and then they would take their Pokemon. Kind of like a Pokemon daycare, a breeding center, in a way. A lot of the eggs, though, did belong to Nicolette, Christopher, and Jeannie. And also, Christopher clarified that they had many different types of Pokemon eggs, pointing out a Cleffa egg in particular, while May and Max took interest in a different egg, a yellow and black one, which Christopher identified as an Elekid egg. As for Brock and Ash, they didn't take interest in any egg in particular, but instead all of them, since Brock especially really cared about Pokemon eggs, being a Pokemon breeder and all. Christopher then requested that May share her traveling stories with Nicolette to motivate her to travel, knowing that her daughter deep down really wanted to participate in contests, but she was just a bit nervous to leave home. May agreed, but brought the subject of conversation back to the eggs, asking if she could potentially help raise one. This led Christopher to reveal that there was one egg that was ready to hatch really soon, and asked Ash and the gang if they wanted to see which one it was. And Ash and the gang obviously accepted, even offering to help hatch it. Meanwhile, as for Team Rocket, they were spying on the farm and the egg storage rooms from some bushes using their binoculars, although they also spotted the Voltorb guards. Jessie just wanted to steal all of the eggs immediately so they could have an army of baby Pokemon, although Meowth motioned Jessie to look at the two Voltorb guards, and said that the Voltorb guards would easily catch them if they tried to steal the eggs. So with that, Team Rocket tried to brainstorm a plan as to how to get past the Voltorb guards, and suddenly James snaps his fingers as he comes up with a plan, and said that he would implement it by nightfall, having it ready, which was very fastly approaching. In fact, it was approaching so fast that Ash and gang didn't actually have a chance to go see the egg that was about to hatch before Christopher suggested that they have dinner first, since it was getting so late, and Ash and gang accepted. And Christopher also called his wife and Nicolette in. After a while, Action Gang, Nicolette, and Nicolette's parents ate a delicious meal cooked entirely by Nicolette's mother, and everyone thanked her. Aside from Nicolette, who hadn't talked the entire dinner, Nicolette's mother tried to talk to her, but Nicolette just ignored her. So, May tried to talk to Nicolette, offering to tell her some of the contest stories like her dad had asked her to. But Nicolette still remained silent. And when she finally said something, it was only to say that she was going to go check on all the eggs, and she got up out of her chair and walked out the door into the egg storehouse, as opposed to the actual house. May simply looked at the door that Nicolette had just went out of and came to the conclusion that Nicolette probably didn't like her, but Nicolette's parents clarified that May shouldn't stress about it, because May suggested that maybe she should try and do something to make Nicolette like her. But Nicolette's parents were like, nah, she's just stubborn. If she doesn't like you, she won't like you. May wanted to duck this, and still tried to think of a way that she could maybe get Nicolette on her good side, but her thoughts were interrupted when she saw a blinding flash of electricity come from outside, far off in the field, which Voltorb protected, and several more blinding flashes were seen as well, and everyone realized that these must have been electric attacks from the Voltorb. Max wondered why the Voltorb would be using electric attacks at this hour, leading Brock to come to the conclusion that someone was probably trying to break in to the farm and potentially steal the eggs. Everyone else thought this as well when they could hear the Voltorb from outside and saw yet another giant explosion of electricity. So, Action Gang and Nicolette's parents head outside to investigate. Immediately, they see Nicolette and the two Voltorb standing in front of a gigantic Pokemon egg. And Nicolette's father confirmed that they didn't own an egg like this and wondered where it could have came from. Just then, a sheet of paper, a note, flew down directly into Brock's hands, much to his surprise. Brock reads the note, and it essentially said that someone had left the egg, and they were going to come and pick it up later, but for the time being, they wanted the people at the egg farm to look after it. Nicolette's father was undoubtedly surprised to receive a request such late at night, but he knew that it was his duty to protect any egg and raise it if he was requested to, so he asked Ashley Gang and Nicolette and his wife to help him take the egg to the egg storage room. So they did just that, utilizing a cart device to wheel the giant egg to the storage room that, thankfully, Nicolette's parents had access to. Unbeknownst to Ashley Gang, Jesse and James were watching them wheel the egg away, because it was part of James's plan, and they cheered, happy that their plan had worked for now, because this was only the first part of their plan. Meowth wasn't with them, because he was doing the next part of the plan. Jesse and James were kind of annoyed by the fact that their hair were now in afro hairstyles because of the Voltorb attacks, because they were the intruders that the Voltorb had attacked when they placed the giant egg down, but they remained happy at the fact that their plan was going well, and they talked about how they could eventually give all the eggs to Giovanni as a present once their plan was fully completed. Just then, Wobbuffet forcibly popped out of its Pokeball, forcing Jesse to recall it. Meanwhile, back with Action Gang, Christopher, Jeannie, and Nicolette, they had all put the gigantic egg away, still letting it rest on the cart in the corner of the storage room. Now that that was done, and dinner was also done, Christopher and Jeannie showed Ash and the gang the egg that was about to hatch, showing that the egg was in a special incubator. Ash and the gang were very intrigued by this egg and wondered what would hatch from it, while Christopher and Jeannie decided not to reveal, saying it would be more fun if Ash and the gang found out when the egg actually hatched. Ash and the gang then asked if there was anything they could do to help the egg hatch, and Nicolette's parents clarified that if they wanted to help, they could keep watch over the egg to make sure nothing bad happened to it, or no one tried to steal it or anything like that. Because Nicolette's parents were too busy. They had some shit to do, apparently. So Nicolette's parents go into another room, while Ash and the gang were left in charge of watching over the egg. Before Nicolette's parents left, though, they actually added on a request to Ash and the gang, asking if they could do a patrolling of the egg storage area to make sure that all the eggs were safe. Like, just go back and forth around the area and make sure everything was good. And Ash and the gang accepted. So Nicolette's parents officially left this time, while Ash and the gang started making rounds around the egg storage house. While Ash and the gang were making their rounds, though, May realized that Nicolette had disappeared again. So she tried to find her, and eventually found her in one of the little egg storage compartments in the main egg storage building, lovingly trying to warm up an egg by rubbing it with a cloth and polishing it. May decides to try and get Nicolette to warm up to her as she walks into the little storage area alone and greets Nicolette. Nicolette didn't look too happy to see her, but May smiled and tried to earn Nicolette's approval by taking one of the eggs from the shelf and starting to polish it with a cloth like Nicolette was. Nicolette tells May to stop, however, saying she was doing it all wrong. When dealing with eggs, you had to rub it very gently and softly. May compliments Nicolette, saying that it was amazing she knew so much about how to tend to eggs, and Nicolette smiles to herself, happy with the compliment. May tried to get Nicolette to like her more by bringing up the topic of Pokemon contests, and Nicolette wanting to be a coordinator, once again, asking if Nicolette really wanted to travel to become a coordinator, which Nicolette confirmed. So May said in response that if she really wanted to travel as a coordinator, then she should follow her dream. Nicolette appreciated May's advice, but says that even though she really wanted to, she was worried about not being as good a coordinator as May was, stating that if she wasn't going to be a good coordinator, then she would feel guilty about abandoning her mother and father and all the eggs and the farm and her chores and all that. And also, it's not like Nicolette really wanted to abandon being on the farm either. She did enjoy it. Although May said that there was a lot of benefits to being a coordinator too. It brought you closer to your Pokemon and was a lot of fun. And she knew that Nicolette would enjoy it if it really was her dream, like she said it was. And she also said that if Nicolette was worried about not being as good as May, well, then she shouldn't be, because anyone could be a really good coordinator if they really put their mind to it. Telling Nicolette that when she started out as a beginner on her journey, she didn't even like Pokemon at all, but as she kept journeying, she eventually grew a great appreciation for Pokemon, and soon became a coordinator, and everything went uphill from there. Despite what May said, Nicolette admitted that she really didn't doubt that being a coordinator would be fun. She was just hesitant to leave home, just to pursue her dreams. She felt kind of guilty. And she still wasn't sure she could be as good as May, disappointing May a little bit. Meanwhile, we then cut to Jessie and James, who were floating above the farm and all the egg storage rooms in their Meowth balloon. They were ready to go on with the next stage of their plan, but Jessie used a communicator attached to her head to radio Meowth and asked if he was ready to go forward with the plan, telling him that it was time. And Meowth clarified that he was ready, and it was revealed that the reason why Meowth wasn't with Jessie and James before was because he had actually snuck into the egg storage room by hiding inside the huge Pokemon egg that Ash and the gang and Nicolette's parents and Nicolette had moved inside the storage room. Jessie expressed doubt that Meowth could actually accomplish his part of the plan, but Meowth assured Jessie that everything would be fine, and it was revealed that the gigantic egg was actually a mech in disguise, and Meowth proceeded to activate the mech, making arms and legs come out of it, including grabbing arms, which it used to go around the egg storage room and steal all the eggs in the entire room, putting them inside a basket in the egg mech, while Jessie actually used a eye device that was connected to her communicator to see inside the mech to make sure that Meowth was still fucking alive. And Jessie basically saw Meowth through some infrared orange light, which was also being distributed all throughout the mech. Anyways, Meowth was happy as he had all the eggs, so he proceeded to try and escape the egg storage room, but then he noticed one egg he hadn't grabbed yet, the same reddish egg that Ash and the gang were supposed to be guarding first and foremost. The one in the special incubator. Meowth believed that if this egg was in a special incubator, it must have been rare, not just that it was about to hatch, because he knew nothing about eggs, so he used one of the mech's arms to smash through the incubator, destroying it, and he grabbed it, the reddish egg, and put it in the basket with all the other eggs. Ironically, the room that Nicolette's parents were in doing some work was actually the closest one to the room where the reddish egg that was in the incubator was in, so they were the ones who actually heard Meowth break open the window to steal the egg, so they quickly sounded an alarm, which May, Nicolette, Ash, Max, and Brock were startled by. And they knew that only Nicolette's parents could have sounded the alarm, so they instantly ran around and found Nicolette's parents in their office where they were doing some work, and Christopher told Ash and the gang and Nicolette what had happened, as he had went to investigate and saw that the reddish egg was gone, and he also of course saw by proxy that all the other eggs were gone as well. We then see Meowth still inside the egg mech as he runs through the field outside of the egg storage rooms to meet up with Jessie and James. Although Meowth was interrupted by the two Voltorb as they tried to stop him and do their job to guard the place and all that, but the two Voltorb's Thunderbolt attacks were utterly useless, and the egg mech just attacked the Voltorb with its arms, harming them enough to knock the two Voltorb out. Just then, Ash and the gang, Nicolette and her parents run up to the mech, having caught up with Meowth, and Nicolette was especially confused as to what the fuck was going on, never having seen a mech like that in her life, and wondered why an egg mech was taking all these eggs. In response to Nicolette's question, Jessie and James arrive just above the egg mech and Meowth floating down in their Meowth balloon as they did their motto, with Mime Jr. taking Meowth's place in it and saying his lines, with the exception of the last line, as Meowth yelled it from inside the mech, as Jessie and James deployed a huge plunger from their Meowth balloon to pick up Meowth inside his mech, to bring him up to the balloon. Despite having heard Team Rocket's motto, Nicolette's parents were still confused as to who Team Rocket even were. Like, they knew they were Team Rocket, but who even was Team Rocket? This leads Team Rocket and Mime Jr. to get angry as they start to recite their motto again, thinking that maybe they didn't say it. But James realizes that they already said it, and gets angry at Nicolette's parents for their stupidity, even though their motto was not clear at all. Like, they said what they did as Team Rocket, but they didn't actually reveal what Team Rocket was. Anyways, Max felt bad that Nicolette's parents didn't know who Team Rocket was, so Max simply just said that Team Rocket were a bunch of losers and thieves. May was shocked at the fact that Nicolette's parents didn't know who Team Rocket was, but anyways, Nicolette's parents finally realized how serious the situation was, and asked if Team Rocket were really going to take away their precious eggs, with Jessie laughing as she confirmed this, and James added that stealing was exactly what Team Rocket was known for, and jokingly commended Max for actually knowing his shit. Just then, Nicolette happened to notice that one of the eggs that had been captured by Meowth and was inside the basket was glowing. Ash then tells the panicking Nicolette's parents not to worry, as he would just have Pikachu use Thunderbolt to blast Team Rocket off. But Team Rocket just laughed when Nicolette tells Ash to stop, reminding him that if Pikachu used Thunderbolt, it could destroy the eggs. Meowth danced in celebration from inside his mech, as Team Rocket happily started to float away with Meowth and the eggs. Ash was angry, knowing that he couldn't destroy the eggs, but he said that they couldn't just let Team Rocket get away. May was frustrated too, and gritted her teeth in frustration, but then she realized that there was a way they could stop Team Rocket, even without using Pikachu's Thunderbolt, and suggested that Nicolette send out her Vileplume and have it use Stun Spore to paralyze Team Rocket to stop it from moving. So Nicolette does as May suggested, and sure enough, this Stun Spore paralyzed Team Rocket, causing them to stop piloting their Meowth balloon, so they weren't getting away. Although the Meowth balloon was now going backwards and forwards in confusion, since Meowth wasn't piloting it, or Jessie wasn't piloting it. No one was piloting it, so it didn't know where the fuck to go, especially with all the weight at the bottom of it due to Meowth's neck. Nicolette gets a little carried away and tells the Vileplume to use a pedal dance, which confuses Team Rocket on top of their paralysis. While all this was going on, the egg that Nicolette had noticed was glowing earlier was still glowing as it was rattled around along with all the other eggs inside of the basket in the mech, as the Meowth balloon was flying really erratically at this point due to no one piloting the balloon. And to make matters worse, the vibrations from the confusion end up destroying the basket on the egg mech, sending all the eggs out of the basket and falling to the ground. Thankfully, Ashley Gang, Nicolette, and her parents were able to catch all the eggs before they fell, though. But unfortunately, the glowing egg, which happened to be the one that was about to hatch, fell out of reach, and no one could catch it in time, making Nicolette very worried as she watched it fall, worried for it. But May was very determined not to let that egg crack as she sent out Munchlax, who was luckily sleeping and in a laying down position. So the egg ended up landing on Munchlax's stomach, and since Munchlax was so chubby, it ended up bouncing off of the stomach right into Nicolette's mother's arms, partially due to Nicolette's mother's stealthful catch. After the eggs were caught, Ash and the gang, Nicolette, and her parents were happy, obviously, that all the eggs were safe. But Team Rocket were not happy at all, and James screamed at Meowth, ordering him to do something, since, he was the one in charge of actually taking the eggs. So Meowth, not worried at all, simply smiled, and assured Jessie and James that he would handle the situation, sending out several of the grabbing arms from the mech to get the eggs back. Nicolette refused to let Meowth retrieve the eggs, though, as she ordered her Vileplume to use Bullet Seed, and the Bullet Seed was able to destroy all of the mech's arms, much to Meowth's dismay. Then, May and Nicolette team up, and they order their Munchlax and Vileplume to both use a Solar Beam at the same time, and both these Solar Beams combined were enough to destroy the Meowth balloon that May and Nicolette were aiming for in a heap of smoke. Once the smoke cleared, though, May and Nicolette were extremely shocked to see that the attacks only destroyed the actual balloon. The Meowth balloon basket was still intact, along with Meowth's mech. So Jessie and James, and Mime Jr. and Wobbuffet were still safe inside the basket, and Meowth was still safe inside the mech. And Jessie and James laughed and bragged about how they would never be defeated this time. And Jessie then ordered Meowth to carry them in the basket away, since the basket was still attached to the mech with the plunger thing. So Team Rocket made their escape. But while they were, Ash refused to let them get away and told Pikachu to use Quick Attack on Meowth's mech. Pikachu was speeding towards the mech, though. Ash noticed something was a little different. Its speed was even faster than normal, and it started to glow with a yellow aura. This yellow aura being the stored electricity from Pikachu's Thunderbolt that it hadn't used yet. And basically this electricity was powering up the Quick Attack, and this attack was so powerful that when Pikachu made contact with the Egg mech, he sliced right through it, causing the mech to explode. May was particularly amazed at Pikachu's new power, although Max wondered what happened to Quick Attack. Why was it so different? Leading Brock to explain that Pikachu had just used a new move that he recognized, Volt Tackle, which was when a tackle or Quick Attack was infused with electricity. Ash was very hyped that his Pokemon learned a new move, congratulating it as Pikachu happily posed, bragging about how it learned a new move, as we see Team Rocket blast off, including Meowth, because the mech and the basket were both destroyed thanks to the Volt Tackle. We then cut to early the next morning, when the sun was still rising, and the egg that was glowing earlier was still glowing, while everyone watched intently in the field, awaiting the hatch. Suddenly, the egg hatched, and none other than a Vulpix emerged, smiling happily. May immediately checked her Pokédex to learn more information about the Vulpix, amazed at actually having seen a live hatching. As Brock examined Vulpix, he remembered the Vulpix that he used to have, and knew that this Vulpix looked similar to his, who was always healthy, so this Vulpix was very healthy, especially for just coming out of an egg. Nicolette then comments on how cute Vulpix was, as May congratulates Nicolette on her battling skills, especially her combination attack, where she used both a Stun Spore and a Petal Dance, saying that if she could keep using those awesome combination attacks, she would be sure to do well in future contests, because beautiful combinations were the heart and soul of contests. Nicolette asked if May was being serious, and May confirmed this, smiling. So Nicolette thanked May for the encouragement, and promised that now she was actually going to go on a journey and participate in contests of her own. May was glad, and Ash commented that May had a new rival, and May agreed. With that, Ash and the gang went just outside the main farm area, ready to depart, to continue on their journey, but just then, Nicolette handed May a Pokemon egg, with Christopher saying that he approved of this, since he felt that May deserved a gift for helping Nicolette realize that she was capable of going on a journey like she wanted to. May was still a bit hesitant to take the egg, but Ash, Max, and Brock said that they would make sure that she took care of it well, so May accepted the egg, and thanked Nicolette and her parents for the gift, promising to do her absolute best to take care of it. Nicolette's mom then adds that whatever hatched from the egg would surely be a great surprise to her. May was excited and happily carried her egg as Ash and the gang said goodbye to Nicolette and her parents and continued their journey towards both the Battle Dome, which Ash was excited about, and May's next contest, which she was excited about, wherever that contest may be.